What's up, metalheads? I'm Jamie. This is the Blades and EDC channel. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new, consider subscribing, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button for me. Alright, today we're going to take a look at a really cool knife. This is the Bestech Nyxie. This is a Todd Knife and Tool design, and probably this one and the Roxy 3, it's hard for me to really say which one I like more, you know. They're both fantastic, great action. Lots of deployment methods, fun to fidget with. Build quality is excellent. I think it looks amazing. The aesthetics are really good. The ergos are really good. I really have nothing much negative to say about this knife. Price is going to be, it's a subjective thing. These run around $250 on White Mountain Knives. But you can get 10% off that. So you can get them for around $223, I think it is, with 10% discount, which in my opinion is extremely affordable for what you're getting here when you compare this to some other you know, Chinese OEM knives in this category with these materials. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic deal. I really like this knife a lot, actually. Big fan of this. This is Craig's knife, by the way. Thank you very much, Craig, for sending this in. Let me check it out. I've got to do a bunch of Craig's knives so I can get them shipped back to him. So I've been procrastinating because of the knife sale, you know, and this one is not in the knife sale, by the way, and I completely understand why it is not. I wouldn't want to sell this one either. This thing is absolutely fantastic. All right, let me give you the specs. We'll go over some size comparisons and talk about the action, because that's one of the things that stand out the most about this knife is the action. Overall length 7.8 inches. Cutting or blade length is 3.43 inches. Blade thickness is 157 thousandths. It's S35VN blade steel, titanium frame lock, ceramic ball bearings on the detent, and ceramic ball bearing detent, and cage ceramic ball bearings on the pivot. Very lightweight, only 3.5 ounces. I mean, for a 3¼ inch titanium frame lock, you know, that's extremely lightweight in my opinion. There is a lot of milling on the inside of the scales, which makes that weight come down to that. Do have some jimping up here on the spine of the blade, and if you notice, it's thicker here and it gets finer as it goes up to where you're going to use it as the deployment method, and then it's thicker jimping here where your thumb's going to land, and it actually works really well. It's fantastic, actually. The blade does kind of ramp up slightly right there, plus you get this little edge right here. It comes down on the scales of the knife, and it's just so comfortable right there. Whether you're back in the, well, it's not as comfortable back in the normal grip. Up here, it's extremely comfortable. Right here, not as comfortable, but comfortable. I can see this one little spot right here where they cut out to give you access to get your thumb in there to press the lock bar. When you're in a normal grip, I feel that little corner right there on my index finger. It's not terrible, but if you were going to be doing, you know, long periods of cutting with the knife, I think it would become a hot spot right there. But honestly, I'd never hold that knife that way. I have a medium-sized hand, and I can't get 4 fingers on it right there. But right here is where the money spot is. That's where it feels, there's no hot spots. It feels really good in hand. Yeah, that's where I would do any kind of, you know, push cuts. If I were using this knife, I wouldn't hold it back here to use push cuts anyway. Right, they put that choil there for a reason. It gets you closer to that edge, gives you lots of control over that blade. One thing that does stand out on this knife that is a negative, in my opinion, is the way the plunge. There is no sharpening choil. You're going to constantly be hitting this when you sharpen this knife. The way they've taken the plunge grind down there, it's just completely vertical almost. There's a slight, kind of angles down slightly right there, but when you go to sharpen this knife, you're going to constantly be hitting that on your stone. So especially after, you know, after a couple sharpenings, it's, yeah, I could see it becoming an issue there. But you know, that's just it's not going to affect the function of the knife. It's just going to affect sharpening. Now let's talk about the action. The detent on this knife is fantastic, guys. It's really, really good. A lot of times with front flippers, detents are weak. They feel weaker to me, a lot of front flippers. This one is not, but it's not overly stiff either. Listen to this thing clip in. It just pops that detent in there. No blade play at all, or it's locked up solid. Great action, man. The reverse flick is extremely good. I don't know if I can fell it, honestly. I'll try. I tried before I made this video and I couldn't get it to fail. One time it fails when I press so lightly, the blade would catch my finger on the way out, which would fail it, like right there. My finger rubbed it as it came out because I was going so lightly. Thumb flick is great. Not as comfortable as the reverse flick, but it works fine. But the front flipper in action. Got lots of leverage with the way they've done the front flipper here. It's above the pivot, and the way they've cut the scale back here, it just gives you, it's impossible to miss this one. It's done so good, you can't miss it. It's definitely not one of those minimal front flippers. You know, it depends on what you think of a knife and the way it looks. Some people don't like that to stick up there. As my daughter would call this the unicorn horn. I don't mind it personally. I think I like it. I do like it. You can do all the tricks. You can reach over and do this. I'm not going to do it. It's not my knife. I have a bad habit of dropping knives when I try to do this for some reason. I can never get it to, because it'll come back and hit me in the knuckle. I'm just not good at that one. So, but the normal front flip with the thumb or the knuckle roll, extremely easy to do. Extremely easy to deploy the blade in any method on this knife. Because that detent is just so good. The detent is, this is what I would consider detent perfection on this knife. At least on this one it is. I can't speak about all of them, but the detent on this one is fantastic. Ergo's really good, like I said, up here in the finger choil. Right here, you're going in a regular grip, you're gonna feel this right here. I definitely feel it. Let me give some size comparisons real quick. Here is the Dimco 80 20.5. It'll be similar in size to that, just a hair longer than a 20.5. Here is the Spyderco Yojimbo 2, almost identical in length to a Yojimbo 2. Very, very close in size. It's a hair longer than the Yojimbo 2 also, maybe 1/8 of an inch. Here's the Urban EDC F5.5, quite a bit longer than F5.5. Here's a Civivi Elementum. Again, quite a bit of length on the Elementum. Here's the Benchmade Bug Out. A little bit longer than a Bug Out also. As far as thickness goes, it's going to be similar to a Bug Out. It's very thin, almost identical to a Bug Out in thickness. It's not really thin, but you know, for what it is, the size of knife it is, it's pretty thin. Here is a QSP Penguin. It's thinner than a Penguin and longer. Here is a Weir Knives Lucas P. A little bit longer than the Lucas P. Ovwrview coming to the Lucas P very soon, by the way. What an amazing knife. Amazing knife. Here's the Tactile Rockwall. So, that should give you guys a good idea on the size. It's a great knife, man. It really is. With the blade shape that I guess you call this a modified sheep's foot blade. It's going to be good for almost every task. Get just a little bit of belly there, but not too much. Really, the belly starts about halfway down the blade, and then it starts to curve up. Then you got that kind of reverse tanto here. So you're going to have lots of detail cutting, lots of access to do detail cutting. It feels really good in hand out there. You can also pinch grip it and get out there. But it's a pretty long blade, 3.25 inch. 3.43 inch, and it doesn't tell me what the cutting edge is. I think I remember it was 3.25 inch. I read somewhere of cutting edge, so just under 3.5 overall length. Great knife, guys. I highly recommend this one. I'll link it below, although I think they're all currently out of stock at the time of this video, making this video. At least on White Mountain Knives they are. And if you do happen to pick one up, use my code BEDC10 to get 10% off. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one.